Welcome everybody to the first NoDQ review of 2021, and it's also the 3-year anniversary of the NoDQ review. Virtue has his finger up. What's up, Virtue?
Nothing. I was just going whoop-de-doo.
Right.
Welcome to the NoDQ review number 123. 3 years. Wow. I am Virtue, being joined by the elite panel of NoDQ, and this week it consists of myself, Aaron Rift, Big G, even though I can't see him, he's out there somewhere, I think, and the return of the remarkable @the_Robbie Vice on Twitter. Wow. What's up? Yep. What's up, Robbie? You're back.
I'm here. Well, your wish is granted. I'm back. I have seen some wrestling this week. I didn't see one of the shows, and I refused to watch one of the shows. Just one of the episodes I'm sure we're going to talk about, because I'm against ratings grabs over tragedy. But I know we have a lot to talk about today, and I'm pretty excited to get back into it. So, yeah, let's do it.
All right, and over to you, Big G. You're out there somewhere, I think. What's up?
I'm doing good, fellas. Am I echoing?
No, you sound good.
Okay.
To Aaron, at least.
I'm doing good.
Galaxy. That's it? You're doing good? You want to elaborate on
that? No.
Well, Big G, we'll come back to you when we bring the topics up. Aaron, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty well. I think you guys are going to be seeing some changes with the NoDQ review in the next week or so, because we've been having technical issues. Ecamm, I have to send you guys an angry letter. Maybe not a very angry letter, but I'm paying for a service that isn't exactly working very well, which I do not appreciate. Anyways, TJS sent us a very nice $20.21 super chat, so thank you, TJS.
Time out. I tweeted before this show that the highest super chat tonight, single super chat, will get from me, sent personally, any of my Virtue shirts signed. Right now, TJS is the winner.
Okay.
Unless somebody beats him.
All right. TJS, he says, Happy New Year. I hope that Goldberg gets squashed. He already damaged The Fiend, and Drew McIntyre has done too well to lose to him. Also, TNA invading AEW does not feel major to me. Royal Rumble prediction has to be Daniel Bryan, right? No way, it's Big E. Virtue, I think we'll be talking about the Rumble when we get to the Rumble predictions, but those other topics, we will definitely be hitting those bases during this video.
Yeah. Yep, we'll talk about them.
All right.
So with that said, you got any other super chats yet, or should we start?
Let's go ahead and get this moving.
So the first topic I want to talk about is on Smackdown, Sonya Deville returned, and obviously we know she took a hiatus shortly after the home invasion, and I get that, going to be out of the spotlight. It was a few months back, whenever it was. Do you think it was too soon? They did the whole, she lost to Mandy, had to retire, and she's back. You know how that goes in wrestling. So what's everyone's thoughts? Too little too early with that? Robbie, since you're returning, and I can see you and hear you just fine, I'm going to start with you.
That's good. I mean, it's cool she's back. She's a great worker, but I feel it's a really anticlimactic way to show her just walking in the back. And she's supposed to be, well, first of all, it was supposed to be like a hair versus hair match, right? And then she just didn't do that because she didn't want to look bad in court when her crazy stalker was there, if I remember correctly. But she's just walking. She's supposed to be gone forever, but she's just walking, and they just don't mention that she's not supposed to be there. She's just there. So I don't know. I guess I don't really care. They didn't really give me a reason to be invested in this. Like, her as a person, I think it's cool. I'm glad she's back, but
could they do something cool with her? Could she align herself with Roman and Heyman? I mean, why don't we get anything cool? Just to wow, like a holy crap, that just happened?
She's probably just going to be thrown in a random tag team with one of the Iconics that they broke up for no reason, and then that'll be that. So
break up the Iconics to have them tag with other people.
Yep.
Big G, are you out there? What do you think about this?
I'm totally thrown off. I'll be right back.
Oh no, we lost Big G. He is gone.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know if it's his connection has been poor lately or what's going on, but like I said, I can't see him and I couldn't even hear him. So, Aaron, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, as I mentioned on the SmackDown Live recap, I was happy to see Sonya Deville back. However, I felt like it should have been done differently. You bring her back in this random backstage segment, and there's no follow-up, no promo, nothing from her, nothing to really get us talking. Just felt like a waste of a return. I would have liked to have seen her come back maybe at the Royal Rumble as a surprise entrant. I think that would have been way more impactful. It just felt like something that, Virtue, we would have seen in WCW 2000. And I think that...
Or like AEW 2020, absolutely.
Sure, whatever you say.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you see me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
now you have you have
just
sent...
made a cheap, yeah.
I was trying to say...
So big...
We've now lost Robbie Vice. His picture is gone on the live stream.
How dare you?
But I can hear him. So Aaron just was saying his piece on the Sonya Deville return is not very impactful, Big G, and that he would have rather seen it at the Royal Rumble or something like that. What's your thoughts on the Sonya Deville return? Very lackluster?
I think it was too soon. I think the Royal Rumble would have been the perfect time, as one of the entrants. Maybe, she'll do something impactful, align herself with Heyman. Maybe potentially facing Sasha Banks at the Royal Rumble as well in a title match or at WrestleMania. She has that potential to be a superstar, a big star, I should say, if people let her be a star. Other than that, if she's back, she's back.
All right. So, like Shayna, she has the potential to be the star, but if they don't let her, hey, just...
Pretty much. I'm pretty much over Shayna Baszler right now.
Just because they book her poorly? Wow, that's kind of fair weather. But anyway, like we'll move on here. And so we did the review last week. It was on a Tuesday, so we did not cover our thoughts from the Brodie Lee tribute show. And I know Robbie did not watch it, so we'll come back to you. We'll come back to you, Robbie. But Big G, thoughts on the show? And we know WWE did it for Owen Hart in the past, Eddie Guerrero, right? They've had tributes when people died. Unfortunately, they did a Benoit one before they knew really what happened. So what's your thoughts here, Big G? I thought it was a well-done show, and there was no way, in my opinion, that Tony Khan could screw that up, thank goodness. They did kind of exploit the kid a little bit too much. Maybe not that night, that show, it was okay. But, like, doing the stuff and airing it, and just that's a whole other topic for another time. I don't want to get people upset. But what was your thought on the Dynamite episode that was tributed to Brodie Lee?
I did enjoy it. I was kind of surprised they pretty much put the whole Dark Order over that night. They didn't let anybody else win. I loved the video at the end. They did Brodie Lee proud, I should say, And then with his kid coming out, and then Tony Khan and Cody giving him the TNT title, you had the boots in the middle of the ring, the bandana. I liked it, It was a very good send-off. And then yesterday, what was that stupid thing with Nate, his son, and Marco Stunt? I wish his kid would have just punched Marco Stunt and taken him out for the next 10 months.
The same size.
Yeah. But yeah, that was kind of, I think last night on Dark, whatever they did, they shouldn't really have done that. So other than that, it was good last week Tuesday.
Now, Robbie, I'm coming over to you, and you can talk about your whole piece on the tribute show, the use of Brodie Lee Jr. And I'm all for, having the kid, distracting the kid from being sad, mourning his father's death.
Right.
You can do that backstage without the cameras rolling, or at least where you air it, where he's beating up all the wrestlers, and he's still going to have a great time. It doesn't have to go out to a national TV audience or an internet audience, but that's just my take. did enjoy the show. I know you didn't even watch it, so do you want to elaborate on that?
I am not a fan of ratings grabs for tragedy. It felt extremely exploited all over everything. And here's my thing too, and I'm probably going to get heat for this, but people were talking about how it was such a great show and it was amazing and it was this great tribute. If it was so great, why didn't it didn't even sniff a million views? You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people were turned off by the constant tweeting, the constant patting themselves on the back. This was almost as bad as Stephanie McMahon patting herself on the back for the Women's Revolution. As for his kid, man, they gave him a contract. I think that's great. Give the kid money, put money so he can go to school, take care of the family. But dude, the mom and all these people involved are just putting this kid on TV, exploit. He's out there beating up wrestlers on national TV. It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. I don't support it. Donate to the charity. That's for the family. That's great. But man, all of the marks buying into this exploitive thing for Brodie, buying all the merchandise that's just lining Tony Khan's pocket so he can give it to Donald Trump and try to take over the country as a terrorist. You people are idiots, man. Like, it just doesn't make sense. But that's my piece on it.
There you have it. Now, I'll let that simmer in the chat for a little bit. Aaron, I'm going to come over to you. So was that episode almost at 1 million? Was that the highest Dynamite for a while?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's the highest.
Doesn't matter.
First of all,
it wasn't the highest.
Well, no, I asked the question. Was it the highest rated Dynamite? I don't care. I'm asking you a question. It might not matter to you, but I'm asking you, was it the highest recent ratings in Dynamite? I know Sting gave them some spikes. You're going to see where I'm going to go with this in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it was, but again, it doesn't matter. The number doesn't matter.
So to counter Robbie, it still drew. People were interested to. I mean, sure, it didn't get 1 million, but people were still interested to see the send off to Brodie, because this week they were down big time. Happy New Year, 667,000. That's why I guess he drew
20,000 more people than, or about 30,000 people than their average big shows.
Okay.
Not impressed. Yeah.
So anyway, but they were down big time this week at a normal show. That's where I wanted to go with that. So Aaron,
yeah, because there was something going on in the world and people were not watching wrestling. So that was the issue with that. And as far as the Brodie Lee thing goes, I just want to say Robbie's entitled to his opinion, but I completely disagree with it. I don't have a problem with Brodie Lee Jr. being there. I do not see it as being exploitive. I think that if Brodie Lee Jr. wanted to be on TV, they were going to make a kid who just lost his father feel better and try to have some joy in his life. So I had no issue with it. It's done. It's over. And whenever he decides, if he does decide he wants to wrestle, he'll train, he'll get involved. But that's not going to be for years. He's going to do school and all that stuff. His wife was very satisfied with how everything went. And I think they did an amazing job with it. And that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, and I will be seeing if they continue to. Like I said, I don't mind them doing everything backstage, making the kid happy, doing all that cool fighting and all that. That's cool with the kendo stick. I get it. They can do that every week. If I keep seeing the stuff on TV week in and week out, it's going to make Robbie and I kind of look smart in the situation. But hopefully, the feel-good stuff the night of the show, I was all for. I just, again, keep the kid happy, keep it behind closed doors. When he gets 18, maybe he'll become a professional wrestler. So rest in peace, Brodie Lee. All right, so speaking of Dynamite, we saw Snoop Dogg. Now, Snoop had a great night on the boxing event with Tyson on commentary. People loved it, right? Internet was going nuts. Shows up on Dynamite, tries to wrestle, gets up there, does a splash, lands on his feet. It's like a backyard wrestler splash. That's what I call that. So I just want everybody's thoughts on Snoop Dogg. And, of course, at the end, a little interesting with Gallows and Anderson from Impact showing up. And we kind of had a reunification of the Bullet Club. And I know Robbie will say, hey, that's copycat from NWO, Wolfpack, and all that good stuff. So, Robbie, thoughts on Gallows and Anderson showing up on Dynamite and then Snoop Dogg or anything else from Dynamite?
Snoop Dogg did a splash that I swear to God he was trained by Joey Janela. I don't know, whatever. Snoop Dogg's having fun. He was probably high as a kite, so take him to the top rope. Why not? Good Brother's always awesome to see on TV. I think they're one of the most underutilized tag teams in the world right now. They had huge success in Japan. I was a little dismayed to see this Bullet Club thing at the end, just because it's like, how many times are we going to see this? How many times are we going to have this faction pop up? You know, they tried to do it in WWE. They obviously did it in New Japan. I don't know. I would say that the other thing that stuck out to me was the Abaddon thing, where she bit what's her face's neck and there was blood everywhere, but there was no visible wound on her neck. I mean, if you're gonna do that, it should be the very last thing of the match, so they can at least make it look real enough to get off camera and not just look like smeared blood. Like, was her gums bleeding and she just like sucked on the chick's neck? I don't know. It was bad. The Young Bucks were terrible, as they usually are. But I don't know.
What
like
did you like from Dynamite?
The Good Brothers. I love seeing the Good Brothers on TV. I like that Sting makes an appearance. I think Sting draws credibility to it. His entrance is cool. I thought Darby Allin had a really good presence on the show. But I think that's about it. I mean, the women's match wasn't bad, but the bite thing was pretty stupid. But yeah, I mean, there were some high points on the show.
It's weird, on her website or on Twitter, they did something later on where they showed bite marks. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah. You think they would have. I mean, it's like, if it's live, you know, you can't really have that. It could
have been done at the very end of the show, or at the end of the match at least. So they could have had enough there and have her rushed off camera or something.
Yeah, that's like vampire stuff. All right, Big G, what's your thoughts here? Snoop Dogg, Gallows and Anderson, Bullet Club, anything else on Dynamite?
Yeah, it was cool to see Snoop last night. I think he did that same exact spat back in WWE on somebody. So, you know, we've seen it before. It's cool to see. Sometimes I think it's cool to see somebody who doesn't wrestle do something off the top rope and, like, make it look completely crappy. His butt was in the air and everything like that. But, you know, Snoop Dogg's not a wrestler. He's a rapper, one of the OGs. It was cool to see Gallows and Anderson there last night. I figured it was coming. I just didn't know it was going to be last night. No surprise the Bucks joined up with them. You know, they got the history together with the Bullet Club, like Robbie mentioned earlier. And I'm sure we'll
now, Big G, was that a missed opportunity of not having Snoop Dogg come out and battle rap? That other guy, that other tag team?
Oh, the Acclaimed?
Or did I miss something? Did he?
No.
No. But it would have that. Yeah.
They did mention Snoop in their rap, I think. But yeah, it would have been cool to see Snoop put them in their places, because he would have, you know, freestyled. He would have freestyled that and put them in their places. Anyways, back to what I was saying. I'm sure now that Gallows and Anderson showed up at AEW, we'll see the Young Bucks show up in Impact Wrestling, and we'll have matches back and forth and have a semi-invasion angle. And I mean, so far, you know, I'm digging it. So.
You like Jericho on commentary?
Oh God, I love Jericho on commentary, man. He's like the highlight of the night. You know, during the whole Wardlow and Hager match, by the way, which was another great match, I thought. Him on commentary during that match was awesome too.
All right, well, thank you for your input, Big G. Over to you, Aaron. I know it's always rehash for you, but what would you like to add?
Okay, so Psycho Jet Black sent in a $5 super chat, and then there's another one I need to get to here in a minute. He says, still no Rich Swann on AEW. I guess they realized he's too much of a scrub to waste airtime on him. Wish a bigger star was Impact World Champion. I would not mind seeing Rich Swann on AEW at some point, just to make us care more about this Impact versus AEW storyline. Maybe he will after the Hard to Kill pay-per-view. And as I mentioned, I really enjoyed the end with the Bullet Club guys reuniting. The only thing that confused me was with the Young Bucks. Are they heels? Are they faces? Are they back to being heels now? Like, what's the deal? And one of the matches people was talking about was Young Bucks versus Anderson and Gallows. So is that still happening? Maybe the Bucks are pretending like they're friends with them. I'm not really sure what's going on at this point, but I am intrigued by it. And Psycho Jet Black sent in another $5 super chat. Thank you for that. He says, what's with WWE announcing returns of Seth Rollins, Carlito, John Morrison, and Sonya Deville right before the Royal Rumble? Do they hate surprises? Well, considering that it looks like the Royal Rumble will not be having fans. I wonder if WWE is even going to bother with a lot of surprise entrants this year, because part of the big appeal to having surprise entrants is when you have the fans reacting to that person coming out. And when you have artificial reactions, it doesn't feel like it's as necessary to do it at this time. Maybe WWE just doesn't want to bother with it. But yeah, I remember back in the day, the Royal Rumble, I would see the big surprise returns, and that would be very memorable. If it was me, I would have the big surprises and bring in Carlito for the Rumble instead of like a 5-second cameo, which apparently that's what he was going to do, and then he decided he wasn't interested. And then when they brought back John Morrison randomly, Sonya Deville earlier, she would have been just a nice surprise entrant in the Rumble, but now that's gone. You can't do that. Rollins, they can still do. We'll see what happens with Rollins if they wait on it, bring him back at the Royal Rumble, but would not shock me if he just randomly shows up this week or next week.
Let's stick to the topic on the Super Chats. Come on. But anyway, thank you, Aaron. We will move on. You got another one you said first.
No, and Tripton says any Super Bowl prediction. I don't even know who's playing, so I'm the wrong person to be asking.
No, not really. It's too early.
Yeah.
I'm not going to.
Big
G
G
is going to say the Steelers.
Big G, who's in
No,
contention? Who's in contention?
It's too early still to predict anybody.
I'll pick the two best teams, Chiefs, Packers, but I don't know. I don't care.
Are the Patriots in it?
No.
What?
No, but Buccaneers.
They're always in it, though.
Tom Brady went to Tampa. Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay, like Skip Bayless likes to say, and they are in the playoffs.
All right, and Virtue, real quick. The Game is on 100 sent in a 100, or not 100. The Game is on 100 sent in, I wish. The Game is on 100 sent a $5 super chat. He says, AEW drew 600,000 and 600. I can't even do the numbers here. I'm so lost here.
A little over NXT this week, but like Aaron mentioned,
662K viewers to 641K for NXT. As long as NXT is on Wednesday, AEW can't grow no matter what happens, and it hadn't shown for 15 months. Again, guys, this week did not matter because of the news. Everyone was watching the news on Wednesday night. Wrestling took a back seat. I expected the numbers.
Not everyone. Not everyone. There were still 600 and some thousand watching both shows.
But I think both shows were probably down a good 100K each because of what happened. The real key is next week. Next week, coming off of the angle with the Elite, if there's a big bump, then you know it was a success. If they get close to 1 million, you know that was something that got people talking. If they do 800,000 next week for New Year's Smash Part 2, then it goes to show, like you say, Virtue, that it's a niche audience and only so many people are going to be appealed by what's going on.
Now, I did enjoy some from Dynamite. It was the way off. Brian Cage. I like Brian Cage. I know for a bigger, he's kind of a short guy, but he's huge, stacked. I think he played He-Man in an independent Masters of the Universe film. Dude, and he weighs 100 more pounds than little old tiny skateboarder guy. And I like him. I like Darby Allin. But the 100-pound difference, I like making Darby the underdog here. It's not like we're looking at main event, even though I think Cage could be. But, you got to watch the match to see how Darby maneuvers through it. And he's always outweighed. He's always getting beat. He's one of those interesting characters, like, to me, reminds me of a young Jeff Hardy. And Jeff was really exciting back in the day, and they got kind of Darby and the Sting pairing. I have some intrigue with that. For everybody that thinks that I dog AEW all the time, especially in 2020 last year when Tony Khan was very vocal that he became the main creative guy, Darby Allin and this whole thing I'm intrigued by. Against Taz's group, Brian Cage, Sting's involved. Good stuff, in my opinion. There you go. I don't always diss everything about AEW. What I want to know now is, so we are in 2021. We are the third year of NoDQ. Wow, Aaron, holy crap. Are we heading into year 3 or year 4? This is the 3rd year anniversary.
Yeah, we started early 2018.
What's everyone looking forward to the most in 2021 in wrestling. Now, because the thing right in front of us is Royal Rumble, you could say maybe who you're excited for that could win the Royal Rumble and headline WrestleMania. Anything else, just anything else, maybe when crowds will come back. I'm kind of curious. We've kind of talked about this late last year, what we look forward to in wrestling, but we are here in the new year. So, Big G, what are you most looking forward to in the world of professional wrestling this year?
This year. Well, hopefully Raw decides to, I don't want to say go back to 2 hours, but hopefully they find some way to be more creative, to do better storylines.
Legends Night. They popped a number for Legends Night over 2 million.
I am so sick of Legends
We'll
Night.
talk about that later.
But yeah, Raw needs to do something to make it better. SmackDown obviously is doing great right now. Obviously, Roman Reigns is there, so hopefully Roman Reigns has a great 2021. Keep him as Universal Champion as long as possible. Like you said, the Royal Rumble's coming up. I'm looking forward to it. Big E possibly winning it. Keith Lee, I mentioned. Bianca Belair. Hopefully they all have great 2021 in the professional wrestling business. AEW, keep on doing what you're doing. Try to make the women's division a lot better. Work that area. NXT, keep on doing what you're doing because you're doing great.
Dude, you gave up on Shayna Baszler because of her creative in the main roster, where you can't even say maybe she gets You were so gung-ho about her, man. Like, when you told me that earlier, and I've let it fester a little bit longer, and you don't even put her in this 2021, what you like?
They need to do something with her. Creatively,
if you liked her, you should still like her. You just be mad at creative for not doing anything with her. Right?
Yeah, they need to take her away from Nia Jax and focus on her being a single superstar. Make her as dominant as she was in NXT for the 2 or 3 years she was there. Make her dominant like when she first came up onto the main roster against Becky Lynch, and then the Elimination Chamber pretty much decimated everybody in the chamber, and then lost to Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. So hopefully they can right that wrong here in 2021.
Okay. Robbie.
Hi.
What's going to happen in 2021 that'll, you've had a lot of disinterest in the past year because of no fans, for good reason. You've explained it. So what could get you excited again?
Well, there's 3 things that I want to see happen this year. One is just, once it's safe, of course, the return of live crowds. It's really hard to invest, and a lot of people hate the pumped-in crowd cheering. I like it because, we're not always looking at the crowd. When they have those close-up shots of the wrestlers, you hear the fans chanting and stuff. It does feel, to me, at least, like it's easier for me to suspend my disbelief in those moments. I would like to see the Road Dogg fired and not involved in the writing of NXT anymore, because NXT has gone from one of the greatest wrestling shows on television to probably one of the most unwatchable. That and AEW are just borderline. It's just, they're not supposed to be the minor leagues, but when you compare it to the flagship WWE show, it is just absolutely minor league stuff. The wrestling is just, it's sloppy. The storylines are okay, very top-heavy cards. And then I just want to see a return to good tag team wrestling. We have FTR, the Good Brothers. We have some teams out there, but I'm so sick of the tag team divisions, and a lot of these are just either gymnastics, flippy flips, cruiserweights. I want to see legitimate heavyweight, good, old-fashioned tag team wrestling that makes sense, that's competitive with actual teams. I don't want to see any more of these hodgepodge teams that they both come out to their own entrance music. It's just, they're not a team. I want to see team-based wrestling that's put on big stage again, that's actually given a chance to shine. AEW is probably doing the best when it comes to tag team wrestling, even though I loathe the Young Bucks, but they do have teams over there, and it is competitive. It's just a little too flippy. Watching Dynamite during that 8-man tag team match, I think there was 7 to 12 spots where 3 people stood on the outside and waited to get jumped on. I want to see stuff like that go away. If wrestling could just be a little bit more serious and have the comedy moments sprinkled in through to make it entertaining. I think 2021 with the rosters and the talents that are out there could be the best year of wrestling we've had since the mid-90s.
And I agree with the crowds. I think all of us would on that.
Yeah.
Before I pass to you, Aaron, for me, like, I am not going to hold my breath. Every year we bring this up. I'm not going to hold my breath for CM Punk, right? If he ever comes back, he's going to do it when he wants to, if he wants to. So we'll push him off to the side. Becky is being a mom. So I'm not going to be one of those, it's been so many months since she had her kid. What if she wants to have a second one right away? So Becky, she'll be back when she's back. I'm going to push her off to the side. There are two people, because I know it infuriates wrestling fans, but they entertain me. And you could say one's a for sure and one's a 50-50. I want to see Brock Lesnar return, which we know he will. Because when Brock Lesnar's there, you may hate him and maybe the same thing over and over again, but it's a hell of a lot better than Goldberg, who we will talk about in the main event tonight. And, of course, I want to see Ronda Rousey. I really, really do. I think that she left pretty abruptly after that WrestleMania match. We didn't really have that story with Becky. If she comes back, mixes it up with Sasha or something, maybe that can open the door for Becky coming back sooner, or a good reason for her for unfinished business. So Ronda and Brock, and I will always say, because they pop numbers, even though they're not big-time numbers like Austin and The Rock era. Look at the numbers now. These two helped from where we're at now in pandemic 2 million mode. So, Aaron, what do you got?
Well, Matt Helms says happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, Matt Helms. And we have a $2 super chat from Psycho Jet Black. He has a question for you, Big G. He says, who had a better 2020, Baszler or the Steelers?
They both lost to Cleveland.
Ouch.
The Steelers, because they're in a playoff match that has not happened yet.
I'm going with the Steelers. Like I said earlier, if they had not booked Shayna Baszler with Nia Jax, I believe she could have had a better 2020.
So, Virtue, I agree with you about CM Punk. I'd love to see him come back in 2020, but not getting my hopes up on that one. Fans coming back, of course, which will probably be the second half of the year, maybe towards the last quarter of the year, unfortunately, with the way things are looking at the moment. And beyond that, I mean, I want to see WWE with a complete creative overhaul. I want to see a renaissance as far as WWE creativity goes, with them just throwing away their whole formula, starting from scratch, maybe not exactly from scratch, but just redesigning the whole structure of the programming, changing everything. Stop doing contract signings and guy comes out for a promo, second guy comes out, third guy comes out, fourth guy comes out, and then you have a tag team match during the next segment. I want to see some different types of segments, new people brought in, and people that can actually have their vision come true on television without Vince McMahon shutting it down. That's what I would like to see, but I say that every year about WWE.
Yeah.
Now, Aaron, I want to ask you this, piggybacking off that great theory that you just did. Do you want to have this year in the same vein that how when we were, WCW was hot with the NWO, but WWE sucked in 95, 96, and then 97, that year of 97. We're not even going to say let's have it like the Attitude Era, but do you want like maybe if 2001 or 21 this year could feel half as good as 1997 WWE started to feel? Is that kind of the thing you're looking for? Like that change?
Yeah, I just want WWE to do something different. Like I said, a creative renaissance for WWE, something totally new and exciting that we haven't seen before. And it's tough to do that, but Vince has to allow there to be an opportunity for it to happen. It cannot happen as long as Vince is set in his ways and wants to do the same routine that we've seen year in and year out. So yeah, that's my wish list every year is for WWE to have that creative overhaul.
Aaron, let me ask you this real quick. I don't know if this is something small that's always annoyed me, but do you find it annoying at all that they play entrance music for run-ins and that every single person who walks out already has a microphone? Like, if they're actually going to interrupt, I feel like they should go to the ring like they used to, grab the mic from the the ring announcer or something and have something to say. But when you just like have all this entrance music playing, it really just comes off to me as fake. I know it's not, it's scripted, but it just, I don't know. It just, again, the suspension of disbelief with that.
I agree with you 100%. I think it's the little things. Like the show just feels so overproduced. It feels like a choreographed television show. You go back and watch wrestling in 96 and 97, and some people made fun of WCW for bad production values, but if anything, it gave it a sense of realism. You watch it and you feel like this is real life. You feel like this is not a television show, like a scripted television show. You feel like you're watching something play out for real. And that's what I miss from wrestling. Like you turn it on, and WWE, they're like Disney, they have the huge budget and everything. And I think Eric Bischoff said this, so Virtue, I know you're not the biggest Bischoff guy, but
what do you mean? He likes me now. He put me over and NoDQ. Go to my Twitter page. It's pinned.
Oh yeah, that's right. But yeah, I think Bischoff said it, how WWE is maybe too good with their production to the point where it actually hurts the product a little bit because it doesn't feel authentic. It feels, just everything.
It feels forced.
Everything feels like forced. Watching one of those shows at Disney World. Like you're at the Magic Kingdom, you're going into one of those little theaters, and you're going to get like one of those little shows. That's what it feels like. We want something, Aaron, right? Like Pillman Austin, right? Something like that. Amazing. Pure emotions. I agree. So let's talk a little bit before we talk about the main event. Well, I want everyone's thoughts here on Raw Legends Night. Don't talk about Goldberg yet. Well, that'll be the main. These legends just pop up, get their screen time. Most of it was backstage. At the end of the match, Keith Lee versus Drew McIntyre, they were all sitting, right, because they probably couldn't stand for that long, on the entrance way. And it's sad how they have to do this. The Hulk Hogan stuff was horrible. Like he wasn't. You can even tell. Hate Hulk Hogan for various reasons. That's fine. You could tell he wasn't even into whatever they had him do. H-phone. Like what the heck is that? So, and of course, they had him on all these legends on there, and Raw doing 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 million. It popped a number. It got 2 million, a little over. Smackdown type numbers. But guess what? Let's watch Raw next week and see what that rating goes back down to. They need to focus on who they currently have. If you're going to bring legends in, like don't just bring Flair out to trip Charlotte, have her berate him, which we've seen before,
right?
And then they make up on social media. Like let's actually get some value out of it. So who wants to go first here? Now we're not talking Goldberg yet. Big G, you're smiling. Go.
Yeah. I don't know. Is it like once every year we get Legends Nights nowadays? I'm just so sick of it. I mean, we see these same people every single time. How many times have we seen Ric Flair this past year in 2020? He did his thing with Randy Orton and stuff like that, and
which was okay. That was okay.
Which is fine, because he was kind of managing Randy Orton. But then, like you said, he came out with his daughter, accidentally tripped her, and did the whole thing like we've seen before, like 2 or 3 years ago. Then you see, we've seen Mark Henry plenty of times. One person I do like seeing is Ron Simmons. He's got his one-liner, and that's it.
But his dams used to be during good things. Now the dams are just
forced
poorly.
Yeah. I just hope they stop doing Legends Nights. If you want to get ratings, like you said, focus on who you have, do better storylines, have better matches, and Vince, get your head out of your ass. That's all I got to say about that. I said my piece.
All right. Robbie Vice.
I learned from Legends Night that they are extremely liberal with the title of legend. It was bad. I mean, yeah, I definitely have in my notes about the H phone. Hogan is trying his hardest to stay relevant. He really wants to be cool with the kids. It's one of the first times, like, Hogan is now at the point where he's, like, embarrassingly out of touch and old. And some of the comments that he made even were just, like, he's, like, talking about people are afraid he's going to steal their spotlight. And I don't know, man. Like he just comes off as just like he just needs to just not be on TV ever again.
He does not know how to read a room. That's for sure.
No,
Like, to be honest with you, you know what I mean? If he wanted to give back with all of his, the racist past that he has, he could have said, hey, I want to go out there and I want to get beat up by the Hurt Business. That you know how that could have elevated the Hurt? I'm serious about that. That could have been good. People would have been talking about that. It would have, yes, put him in his place. It's just little things like that. Maybe that's too risky. I don't know.
The thing is Hogan doesn't ever want to put people over, and even in some of his promos, you can just get that hint of like he doesn't try to elevate the people he's around. He tries to steal the show from other people, and he just doesn't have it anymore, and he doesn't have the goodwill of the fans to back that up. So all in all, legends, there are some questionable legends out there. Mickie James should be on the main roster. Mickie James is incredible.
I thought she was. That was weird.
Yeah, she was like right before her injury, she was in good storylines and she was like kicking ass. She looks great for her age, and now she's a legend, so I guess she's just done. Big Show, I think, wrestled recently, and he didn't have any kind of retirement ceremony that I know of, and now he's just a legend that stands on stage and gets yelled at by Drew McIntyre. So I don't know, man. I don't think it does these legends any favors. Like, who got over in this? Like, yeah, it bumped the ratings a little bit, but what did it actually accomplish? The legends just stood around. They had a couple backstage segments. Hogan put himself over, and I agree with Mustafa Ali in his promo after on Raw Talk or whatever that they took time away from people they should be building up. Well, whether you like Retribution or not, I personally don't, but you know what? They should at least have the opportunity to build and elevate and be booked correctly. I saw some arguments on Twitter where people said, well, they're putting these people on because they're over and they know how to do things, and they were credible back in the day. They were credible back in the day because Vince was busy being an on-screen personality with Austin that he couldn't micromanage everything. They didn't have insane, stupid, scripted promos, and they got to be themselves. They got to be their characters instead of being assigned the characters. If you look at all the big stars, they made everything their own, and that just doesn't happen anymore. And that's why we don't have stars, and that's why we rely on people from the mid-90s to come back to pop ratings, because WWE fails at making new stars. So that's my opinion on Legends Night, Virtue. That's my rant of the day.
I like those opinions. Aaron Rift.
I would just like to see the legends brought in once in a while, a few at a time. I liked what WWE did with Ric Flair last year, even though it really did not make sense with the pandemic to have him showing up on Raw. It wasn't really necessary, but I did like the pairing with Randy Orton. I want to see more of that kind of stuff. You can bring in legends every now and then. I don't think that you really need to do a Legends Night with like 20 people, the same people we see every single time there's a Legends Night, like Sergeant Slaughter and Ron Simmons, although he is entertaining. I want to see some different people. Carlito was advertised. He did not show up, but that would have been a nice touch. Somebody in the chat room brought up, are there any legends from the Ruthless Aggression era? I guess you could consider maybe Batista, but obviously he would be saved for his own appearance without being part of a Legends Night. When they do Legends Night, yeah, basically they're taking Hogan and Flair and then like 20 other people that, calling them legends. With all due respect to them, it's maybe a little bit of a stretch for some of them. But yeah, you just lump them all together and then they end up doing nothing. They're just standing around. During a pandemic, you're bringing in all of these people when you really don't need to, just to pop a rating for 1 week. Like, what did it do for the future? You look at everything that happened on Raw, pretty much nothing. I felt like the Legends served no purpose other than just to pop a rating for 1 week, and that's all it was. And yeah. I would much more enjoy if we had the Legends used, maybe a few at a time, where they could make more of an impact and help elevate the younger talent.
And it all, Aaron, was led for Bill Goldberg. Okay. The rumors said, he was going to come back. He's contracted to do 2 matches a year. He's going to work that match with Roman that never happened last year. Well, we were swerved because he came out and confronted Drew McIntyre. Now, was it Randy Orton, like he, in Randy Orton fashion, the one berating all the legends, doing his, you're irrelevant, I'll beat you up, Yeah. And Gold came out. It's almost like they changed the script at the last minute and didn't, hiding Goldberg away, keeping him a secret from everyone, didn't tell him that Drew McIntyre wasn't the one that said that stuff. It was so like they dropped the ball there when Goldberg comes out, confronts McIntyre, and says he's berating the legends, and the fact that it's Goldberg. What are we going to get out of Goldberg? A 5-minute match tops, and it's over. Why do we want to see that? Like, I don't know, because he's the guy that can do it,
Yeah.
Aaron?
Yeah, so Virtue, here's the situation. Goldberg, he's contractually obligated to wrestle twice a year. WWE brings him in as a special attraction, and it makes sense. It's WrestleMania season. Him versus McIntyre, I'm very baffled about, because
exactly.
How does this benefit either guy? Like, if Goldberg wins, then that's terrible for McIntyre to lose to Goldberg. You've basically erased all this hard work you've put into building up McIntyre as the flagship of the company. If McIntyre wins, Goldberg loses value. Like, he lost to McIntyre.
He lost to Strowman.
Yeah, he lost to Strowman, and then he's going to lose again to McIntyre, and then you're going to try to sell him as somebody who can compete with a younger guy at WrestleMania. It's one of those, I don't understand how this will benefit anybody. Like, it's a no-win situation. I was very confused by it. I thought, Goldberg might come in and wrestle Reigns. And if he loses to Reigns, I don't think that's as big of a deal as losing to McIntyre. Especially with the heel-face dynamic. But McIntyre is supposed to be a face at least. And the angle on Raw, I mean, the word is that McIntyre was going to cut a promo on the Legends, and then Goldberg would have come out. But yeah, the whole thing was a complete mess. And then
Goldberg, he didn't do it,
Yeah, well, apparently, I guess maybe Goldberg was supposed to ad-lib, and he didn't. And he just stuck to the script. And that's
not
the
a guy you want to have ad-lib, though.
No.
If anyone should be scripted, it should be Goldberg. Now, Aaron, could they bail themselves out, and if they do the, Drew and Goldberg at Royal Rumble or whatever, then Brock comes out and beats them both up, and we don't have to have a winner, and then Brock's back to stake his claim. Could we get that maybe? I mean, I don't know, but you were saying how could one guy win, the other guy lose, and either way, somebody's going to get damaged. The only way to do that is to have a run-in to end the match, and
which is dumb to just have a match take place only for it to have a run-in with somebody.
Well, it would be done to get Brock back. That would be the end game. And in that situation, I would be fine with it. Robbie Weiss, what do you want to add to Goldberg?
I thought we were done doing this shit with Goldberg. Like, he just keeps coming back, man. He's like a cockroach.
He's like Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers.
No, dude, he's like the herpes of WWE. No one wants him, and he just keeps coming back at the worst possible time. Also, if they're going to have Goldberg do an ad-lib, maybe not the guy that's going to headbutt a door and give himself a concussion to go out there and just say random things in front of the TV. And the I thought the promo was hilarious, because my new thing is I watch Raw on YouTube the next day, but I watch the last 10 minutes of Raw live every week, so I can skip out on all the misery and use my fast forward button, right? So I'm watching it, and I noticed at least enough that Drew McIntyre didn't say anything bad about the Legends, and Goldberg just comes out making these dumb. It just made Goldberg look like a complete idiot.
Where's the communication, right, Robbie?
Dude, I don't even know. It literally made Goldberg look like a crazy old man, and Drew looked confused. It was just an awkward segment, and it ended with him shoving Drew McIntyre on his ass, which doesn't make sense. The thing that baffles me the most, though, is why Vince keeps going back to Bill Goldberg. Aaron, I think you brought this up, or someone did.
I think it was me. Go ahead and say what you're going to say.
He's a WCW guy.
Yes, that was me.
He's the only one that's not a Vince creation that he puts over his gigantic stars, and it doesn't make sense. But we've already seen Goldberg. He's already come back. He's already had his shirtless kid run around the ring so he could celebrate with him. His stupid wife in the front row to watch him wrestle. That's probably 22 years old. I don't see it. There's just, I would rather see Batista. I'd rather Cena come back. There's just so many actual legends I would like to see. Who out there honestly wants to see Bill Goldberg? Who actually, honestly, he's already
Vince McMahon.
But after what he did, and everyone's like, oh, it's not like he's going to win. You know what? Ask Bray Wyatt how that goes.
Yeah.
So
how I know, you know how I promote the ribs and the conspiracies within the locker room. And we know Goldberg was against WWF when he was in WCW. And Vince, why would Vince bring him in and make him a big deal? Well, Goldberg also ended Bret Hart's career, who punched Vince McMahon in the locker room in '97. And I tell you what, Vince, him putting Goldberg on TV, maybe, speculation here by virtue, could be the rib to Bret Hart every time he does it. He's like, ha, you punched me in '97, Bret. Goldberg ended your career, and I'm making him a big deal. I mean, I've heard enough stories about crazy Vince holding grudges.
I mean, yeah, I could see that as a thing because
Sorry.
Vince, Vince. It's just Goldberg and Vince are just two. It's like the movie Grumpy Old Men, except for it's not entertaining.
Yeah. Now, Virtue, I mean, you might make a good point there, except for the fact that Goldberg was there in 2003 and was not booked very well at all. I think
what happened over Jericho. I know. But...
I think what happened was Paul Heyman saw something in Goldberg, and Vince was convinced that Goldberg can be used as a special attraction. And then we had the whole Saudi Arabia deal go down, and they love all the old-time wrestlers, and they see Goldberg as, you know, a major superstar, and they wanted him, and Vince was like, well, Goldberg, he has to be part of the package. If Saudi Arabia wants him, then Goldberg's going to get that big contract, and he's going to get those opportunities. Now, there was a comment here about maybe The Miz being added to the match, and, you know, as stupid as that Money in the Bank storyline is, at least that would be an out where Miz comes in, tries to cash in on both guys, and we have a repeat of TLC where he cashes in and then he ends up failing to successfully win Money in the Bank and win the championship. So,
what if within 1 year Goldberg kind of squashes the Fiend, which he did, takes all that momentum away, and then does it to Drew, just to put the title on Goldberg? So I don't even know how they would get there. Goldberg versus
unification match, maybe.
Well, but then someone's got to win the Royal Rumble still. So yeah, I don't even know. It's nuts. Goldberg's back in the limelight again. What do you think, NoDQ Galaxy? Any super chats or questions about Goldberg? What are they saying in the chat? Because I don't have it on.
They all feel pretty much the same way. They don't want to see Goldberg in the mix, but it is what it is, and you know. I guess it's a short torture. He comes out, spear, kick out. Other guy hits his move, kick out, spear. Another kick out, 2 more spears, and then the other guy hits his finisher and wins.
Wouldn't that be shitty for Drew if Miz cashed in to be making a triple threat and Goldberg beats him swiftly and it costs Drew the title?
There you go. Well, at least that would be an out for Drew. At least Drew technically would not be losing to Goldberg, so that would not shock me. That would, I think that
Ziggler could come out and cost him the match for his revenge.
Oh yeah, from SummerSlam. There you go.
Yeah.
You know what I would find appealing if Matt Riddle cost Goldberg the match and we actually got their feud, because you know I feel some realism there with those guys, and I would be intrigued to see that match.
Well, I got to save that. There's going to be a future debate about Matt Riddle, the great NoDQ debate between Robbie and I have to save some of my ammo, so I'm not really going to speak on that because I need to save it for that show.
Well, so Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says Goldberg versus Edge, WrestleMania, spear versus spear. What do you think about that, Big G? I'd
rather be Roman Reigns.
No, I don't want Goldberg anywhere near Edge in his neck.
No. Well, Goldberg's finisher is the jackhammer, though. It's not really the spear.
Well, he can't.
I don't know. Him on his head.
The thing is, he can't get people up for the jackhammer anymore.
Do the jackhammer.
I mean, Edge isn't as big of a guy, but
he almost killed the Undertaker. So,
well, there you have it, Galaxy. Just wow. Looks like TJS is going to get a Virtue shirt tonight.
I didn't get my piece. Whoa. I didn't get my piece.
Go ahead.
I did not get my piece.
I thought you. Okay, go ahead. Aaron asked you the super chat.
So, before I start,
my bad.
Did any of you guys enjoy his? I don't want to say enjoy, but did you guys like his match when he came back against Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series?
No.
The 21 seconds. No. Okay.
I liked it because it was a shock.
But
okay. All right.
it was weird. I don't know.
All right, so Goldberg comes back, obviously beats Brock Lesnar, and then ever since then he's been put in a title match. You know, he ruined Kevin Owens' title. You know, he had momentum going, and he's Universal Champ. We talked about it plenty of times. Who else just recently? He beat somebody else and got the Universal title. Now he's facing Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble. Like, seriously?
Goldberg beat Owens, didn't he?
Yeah, Owens. Yeah, I mentioned Owens. Then he won the title and lost it to Strowman at WrestleMania. Like, seriously? I mean, why does this man have to come back and be automatically put into a title match? Why not have him face somebody, like Aaron said, Matt Riddle? I said that on my show this past Tuesday. Have him face somebody like a Matt Riddle. Don't have him face The Undertaker or whoever. Have him face somebody younger and put that talent over. Yeah, I'm sick and tired of Goldberg too. I had DVR'd Raw and I watched it, and I just watched the Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre match, and then as soon as I heard Goldberg's music, I just turned it off. I'm so sick of it. I'm kind of glad he's not facing Roman Reigns, just for the fact. I mean, I don't want him beating Drew McIntyre, but I think Roman Reigns had a say in it. You know, I'm not facing this man because if he faces me and I lose, I'm walking. You know, Drew McIntyre, on the other hand, I think I talked about Greg about this. You know, have The Miz come in, make it a triple threat match, and pin Goldberg to win the WWE title. To keep McIntyre looking strong still, and keeping the title off of Goldberg. So there we go.
Oh, you heard it from Big G. Well, thanks, NoDQ Galaxy and Team Elite. We got through that one with. I know Aaron's looking into doing maybe some Streamlabs or whatever, StreamYard, whatever that's called, something new next week. So with that said, we know how this goes. We might get through our plugs and end the show right on time, or we might not. So let's start, and I'll do Aaron last. So Robbie Vice, that you came back this week. I know you said some controversial things, but where can people get a hold of you to berate you for their, disagreeing with you and your opinions?
I mean, I don't really want people to follow me, but if they have to, I guess they could do it at the Robbie Vice.
What happened to that NoDQ? Was it too close to NoDQ Virtue, and you're just like, I have to be different?
It was close to NoDQ Virtue, but you called into question my Cleveland fandom, and that's
by the way,
that's where
Linda's gone.
Dude, they're done. that's just hot garbage. But I mean, like I said, I'm not super following sports this year because of COVID. It just, to me, it's just, and I kind of was getting into the Cavs until they had 65 injuries. But the only thing I liked so far this year is the Steelers choked, and it's always good to see that. Now all of the Browns are on COVID, and they have no coach, so I'm sure this rematch is going to be ugly for Cleveland. So we'll see. But yeah, it was a fun show. I know I probably said controversial things that people don't like, but that's quite okay. If you want to shoot me a message on Twitter and tell me I'm an asshole, I'm out of touch, I have no idea what I'm talking about, whatever, it's fine. We'll talk. It's fine.
Yeah, email complaints to, what is it, NoDQ, MISC at Gmail. What's that? What's your email, Aaron?
Yeah.
For complaints?
Yeah.
Okay. Big G?
Yeah, so NoDQ.com/BigBallaG takes it to my Twitter page. NoDQ_BigBallaG1988 on Instagram. Jeff Hilton on Facebook. And check out my new show, The Gridiron Grapple, every Tuesday at 4 p.m. on my YouTube channel. That is it for me, Virtue.
All right. No, Aaron. Go to Aaron.
Aaron.
Yeah, so next week I think we'll be using some new software for the NoDQ review just because the last 2 weeks we've been having issues here. I'm not sure if Skype is just not compatible with Ecamm Live, but nonetheless, we got to try something different. And hopefully we do not continue to have the technical difficulties on next week's episode of the NoDQ review. But thank you guys that stuck around for the whole thing. I appreciate it, even if it was glitchy at times. And thank you to everybody on the panel for being patient with everything. I know we had a lot of issues trying to get this set up, so thank you guys for that. And stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Be positive and stay safe.
And congratulations to you, TGS. You're going to get a Virtue shirt of your choosing. And I'll even take a nice silver Sharpie and put my little signature on it. And I know you will cherish that for the rest of your life. You can follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. Facebook is NoDQ.com/Virtue with a lowercase v. Check out the NoDQ opinion section with great columns over there. I haven't posted any in a while, but I still put Getting Color on there. We have the NoDQ review link. Bunch of opinions on there from Mr. Tito, from Justin J's Ways, and others. So go check that out. And that's all I got. So for Aaron Rift, for Robbie Vice, for Big G, we hit 1 hour. No DQ Galaxy. We will see you next time. See you later.